Welcome back to the Road to 1 Million podcast. On this week's episode, I've got Kyle from OC Detail Works on the show. Kyle is up in Freeport, Illinois, and is one of the first guests I've had on the show that is focusing very heavy on agricultural and heavy machinery coatings. In fact, this makes up about 60% of his business today. So we're going to talk a lot about that and how he got into that. He wasn't always doing agricultural coatings. He started out just doing detailing, and he's going to talk about his story on the show as well. Kyle is also an Avant Guard 1051 installer. If you've been listening to this podcast for long enough or have been on social media, you might have seen this new coating, and it's somewhere in between paint protection film and ceramic coatings. It actually does have some abrasion resistance. So we'll talk a little bit about that on this week's episode as well. Kyle is actually going to be a trainer for Avant Guard. So if you guys have been thinking about getting into this coating, or if you have questions about it, reach out to Kyle. I'll link all of his stuff in the show notes. Kyle, thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate your honesty and your humility. And I hope all you guys listening enjoy and can find some value in the podcast. Don't forget, you can use the timestamps in the description if you'd like to skip ahead. And without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, today I'm with Kyle from OC Detail Works in Freeport, Illinois. Kyle, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me. I know we've been trying to make this one happen for a second, so glad we can actually make it happen this time around.
Yeah, I know how it is, man. Things get busy. And do you feel like, obviously there's a seasonality to our business. Do you feel like you feel that? Because I know you offer a wide range of services.
Ours is like real brief. We end up with like this very, very small window in like the first 2 weeks of February. But outside of that, we don't have it too much, mainly because of the ag and heavy equipment side. When it's slow for cars and the nice vehicles, that side, all that equipment is down for the winter. So we're usually picked right back up on that side and can be even busier during that period.
Well, I'm excited to talk with you a little bit more about that because I think that's super fascinating. But I'd like to start just by talking about how you got started and when you got started with your business.
Yeah. So mine is a little less conventional than most. Most of the guys I think that I've talked to usually start with like the passion for their own car, cleaning it, moved in that way. I actually, when I was in high school, myself and my dad, we rebuilt cars. We got a rebuilder's license, bought totaled cars, and would put them back together. I went through the auto body side of things first, painting and whatnot, and was cleaning those up back in high school. Got out, started diesel mechanics and auto body, and virtually fell into a dealership actually waiting to take the diesel mechanic spot. While I was waiting for that guy to retire, they were putting me around the dealership, trying different places. I started helping them out in the detail for a little while. One thing led to another. They actually had a unique little pay scale back there. I was a go-getter when I was young and learned that I could make more money than some of the techs were doing. I ended up opting to stay there a little longer, and that's how I originally like really fell into detailing. And then I just kept digging because I'm the kind of person that if I get into something, like I want to know all of that something. And then I like think one of the first videos I fell upon was Mike Phillips' video, and then it was I got into like sanding, and then I got into this and that. And, next thing I know, I was down a huge rabbit hole and realized there was like a whole world of really cool side of detailing and polishing and paint. From there, I just got carried away, and they let me do whatever I wanted there, which was cool.
What was the pay scale? I'm so curious.
Yeah, so it was a commission-based scale, but they basically they paid me 50% commission on every service. And every service was like in-house cars had a set pay rate that I couldn't affect when we were doing an in-house detail for like used car department or new car department. So it was all about efficiency there. But as far as they did client work too, and they allowed me to actually price and do all the estimates and work directly with the customers, which I know isn't super common in dealerships. So as I learned more and could do more, I got to start selling that stuff to clients, got to work on a pure commission base, and off of whatever I sought to be a good quality price at the time. So yeah, the mechanic side of things actually in the dealership weren't making that much money, and I was making more as a detailer than most of the techs. So that kind of opened my eyes to there being something to it when I eventually felt like I had capped out there and wanted to go off and start my own.
Yeah, when was that?
2017. So, and it happened real quick. May of 2017 is when I officially opened, and it kind of came from hopes and dreams of ideas. I've always, like I said, my dad owned businesses, did things like that. Always had that idea, but there was some issues inside the dealership that finally I kind of had enough with, and I was like, that's it, I'm done. Gave them my 2 weeks and decided that was it. That was when I was going to start. And 2 weeks later, OC Detail was opened. So,
Jeez. So, did you have any clientele that transferred from the dealership over to your personal business?
A couple clients right off the bat that were coming in that I had worked with face to face for a while came in looking for me, and when I wasn't there, came searching after me. I had a couple of good friends at the dealership that did let people know where I went, so that was cool. And then as time happened, they trickled in more and more. Pretty much everybody that I had worked with, but I tried to do things the best way I could and not like necessarily snipe clients or take a client book. It's just, it happened to go that way because we had a good relationship. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, man, that the dealership was just allowing you to interact with the clients and quote jobs. Like, I've never heard of that.
It was very unique situation inside that. And like I said, that's what made me stay there for so long. Cause usually the dealership money isn't where you're going to stay and want to opt for that over a different job. But yeah, things worked out. And I mean, I stayed there for 5 years or so before I went and opened mine.
So how'd you get clients when you first started your business? I mean, obviously there was a little bit of trickle in from the dealership customers that were looking specifically for you, but how else?
Yeah. Honestly, it was mainly from that. And then I had a lot of good relationships with different body shops around the area. And I've always been really good as far as like throwing myself. I shouldn't say really good. I've always been comfortable enough throwing myself in front of a camera early on social media. I had a background in motocross that I had to go meet sponsors and meet industry individuals for a long time. So I was okay with just going and meeting people. So I went and I door knocked a lot, and I went the business to business route early, trying to get some of what I knew would be fleet accounts that could at least keep the doors open while I got going, and got my face out on social media more. And that's what really drew the clients in originally.
Do you feel like social media had a pretty big impact on your business?
Huge. If it wasn't for that, the doors wouldn't have stayed open nearly as long. Because our area, Freeport's a really, really small town. And it's kind of a rural community. And I mean, even down to like, I know a lot of guys are like, oh, coatings weren't really around when I got started. I mean, people didn't really see polished paint around here. It was kind of opening a whole new realm and being able to put videos and before and after pictures up on social media where people were actively following with, especially back then, a lot less ad content. It was really, really helpful. A lot of organic reach too, really early on.
Were you running ads with this before and after pictures and the videos that you were taking, or was it just like up on your social media and your website?
It was pretty much, I mean, my website was absolute trash for too long, actually. So I spent a lot of my time, and I would try to take at least like basically I was early on, I was learning the business side of things, but I was taking roughly 30 to 40% of every dollar that came in and putting it right back into Facebook ads at the time. And that's like all I knew for advertisement, but it was just hammering Facebook over and over and over again. And eventually that got it to where like I would see people at the gas station pretty early on in a rural community and they knew who I was. So that kind of instantly did it for me there, to where I didn't have to actually let me get lazy for too long as far as like the website side of things went and stuff. So
What was that first year like on your own? Like, was it pretty tight? Was it tough?
yeah, very. I will say I did not plan super far ahead. Like I said, when I kind of led forward to, I quit and went out on my own. So savings was low, money was low, and I knew I would have to reinvest to try to get it to go. So it was a really good first year in terms of like a brand new business. We did my very first year open, I did like 57, 58,000 with a very low overhead. I mean, I was operating at 15% or 20% or less. So it was a great first year, but everything was really tight because I knew that it could go either way, and I was reinvesting as much as I could back into trying to get a name built in the local area and learn how to run a business at the same time. So
Was that 15% including like your shop?
everything, yeah, I had a really sweet deal. I mean, the shop wasn't great. It was very, very, very small. I actually had to take the one wall that was in it, the office wall, out so I could fit a truck in it. Um, but it was only they charged me like $350 a month. So that was, I mean, it was kind of the right place, right time kind of thing. It was a client's friend, um, so the right pieces came together.
Did you ever do mobile?
No, no. Outside of the farm equipment stuff that happened later, I never did mobile. It was all right at my spot.
Man,
So
you missed out.
I know, I know. Well, and like to be honest, like here's the thing is when I got going, I didn't. I had told you I'd really been looking into what detailing could be, and I saw all of the places I wanted to go. Like eventually, I saw Jim White and White Details, and I was like, man, that's what I want. Eventually, I want it to be me booked out a year in advance doing nothing but the best of the best and all I can do to a car. And I never even saw mobile. I never saw mobile until I was open like 2 years in. And I was like, oh, there's guys out here doing this stuff out of really sick built vans. And I was, I had blinders on for a while because I was just getting in and going. So,
Yeah, it's interesting how everyone kind of has like a different path and a different way that they start. Um, I think mobile is really attractive for people because it is low overhead. You know, you can throw stuff in the back of your sedan and virtually zero overhead.
yep. Yeah.
But it sounds like you had pretty low overhead with the shop too. So
Yeah, I got lucky there, like really lucky. If that wouldn't have happened, I might have stumbled into working out of like I had a moto van for racing, so I might have converted that at the time. Uh, but I can't say because I just that worked out within. I quit and I found that place like 3 days later. So
did you ever at all in the life of your business, did you ever think that you would just hang it up? Like, did you ever have moments where you thought I might just move on?
absolutely, honestly, I mean, there's still times today where I mean I never thought my business would be what it is today when I first started. It's a completely different picture than I painted in my head. But and there's still times today where I'm like, wow, this is great, this is successful, and sometimes it's just like, is it worth it? I think any owner that's saying they don't have those thoughts occasionally would it just be easier to work for somebody else is probably not completely telling the truth. But there was actually a couple times where I was very close to just doing it. And one of those times is about 2 years ago, when I made the switch to really actually try and scale out the business, and a couple other avenues as well. And that was pretty close for me, where I wasn't sure I wanted to keep doing it.
So before that, was it just pretty much you?
Yeah, I always had from like my third. I think I hired my first full time employee my third year, um, and it was me and one employee up until 2 years ago, and then I really hired on to where there was anytime, and from any time there was 5 to 7 people working under us or working with me through different shops. So
So why did you make the decision to scale and try to grow the operation and hire more employees instead of just keeping it you and your one guy?
I honestly, I think the big part that really shifted is I started actually having fun learning to run the business. For a long time, like I said, I didn't have I went into it with a different way. I went into it with the idea that I was going to build myself a job, build myself a long term career that I enjoyed doing, which there's still nothing wrong with that. There's still days where I'm like, that would be perfectly fine and I'd be happy with that. Um, but I really, really started to enjoy the business side of things, actually learning the ins and outs of operating a business and wanting to do that more. And once I decided that's kind of what I wanted to start playing with more, I knew that I couldn't be the 1 or 2 man shop. I had to start to expand in different ways if I wanted to get to that point. So I decided to jump down that rabbit hole a little more and actually learn business.
So what was it when you switched to wanting to scale? What about that made you want to ultimately then maybe just hang it up? What had those
Um,
thoughts?
yeah, so it was a lot of learning curves coming really quick. One with I've never had more than one. My first employee I got really lucky with. It was somebody that I had worked with before in the past, and I'd known them really well. I had trained them from the start, so I never had the learning curve of really teaching somebody that I didn't know from scratch to see if they melded in. And then I went to having 5 of those peoples and having all of the different headaches both with that, and then a mistake happening there that wasn't directly because of me or somebody that I knew. The involvement of all of that, the mindset that I was providing for their family when we would have our slow time because I wasn't scheduling appropriately. Just a lot of really big learning curves because I went from 2 men, like myself and a helper, myself and a right hand, to 5, 6 people, all hands on deck, and learning the scheduling, learning to what I could put on the schedule, what I could trust people with, couldn't trust people with. Um, it was more just like, is it worth even doing this, or do I just go right back to myself and make my life a whole lot easier?
Yeah, I feel you, man. Um, People, that's the hardest part about any business. It's the customers and it's your team, and learning to communicate with people that have different personalities. I mean, think about your clientele, right? Like you've got the kind of clients that come in, hand you the keys, and they know you're going to do a great job. They don't balk at the price. They don't complain at the end. And then you have the clients that ask 100 questions and want to make sure that everything's going to be just right, and then are going to check over everything at the end. It's the same way with your employees too. Like there's different personalities there, and learning to deal with that as a business owner, and then still have all the other balls up in the air that you're juggling it's hard.
Yeah, and I think one of the big parts that I has made everything easier now is I didn't realize how unready I was for training multiple people. the actual having, I didn't have a set line of operating procedures for each service. I didn't have a set guideline for how I wanted an individual to operate in our shop. I I think that's would be a huge, if I could like go back, and I even talked to some of the other shop owners in the area and some of my friends starting stuff, and I'm like, man, if you guys could, like, if you're getting ready for this jump, and I let people get in my ear of, you got to expand, you got to hire more, you got to hire more, you're booking out too far, you got to do this, you got to do that, and like, don't don't let that get in your ear too fast, because if I would have just sat back and taken an extra 3 to 4 months to really hammer down every operating procedure and game plan how I was going to train everybody, it would have killed a ton of headaches that I ran into early because I was not as prepared as I thought.
Yeah. So just because you can hire someone, you have the clientele to hire someone, uh, maybe slow down a little bit and make sure that when you do hire that person, you've got the right procedures and systems in place. Um, and you're not just hiring them just to have a body in the shop, right? You're hiring the right person.
Yeah, yeah, and the right person has got to fit with your shop. And then, like I said, you can't, if you get them in there and you're not ready for them, now you're trying to develop your training program while you have a mouth to feed, while you're trying to run a shop. It gets real murky waters real quick, and it can make a what could be a fun process really daunting.
So is that what happened?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Really, really quickly. I have fun with it now, and like when we bring them into the other shops and stuff, I have a lot of fun with it. At this point, we have another guy starting next week. I'm looking forward to it now, but yeah, it was murky waters for a while. I was not ready, and but we had a big learning curve and learned a lot from it. So
Yeah. Do you think that you could have, like, without having more than one employee up till that point, do you think realistically you could have set a good like hiring and training structure without just kind of going through it?
yeah, if I would have, I don't think I took advantage of talking to some of the other larger scale business owners that I knew. A lot of my clients own businesses and loan pretty good sized ones, and I could have just had a chat. Like I could have just reached out, and I didn't, which was probably a big mistake because most people are just willing to talk about it. And the instant I started chatting about the issues while I was in it, they were all like, "Oh yeah, well, you should have done this," and it was very simple little tweaks. It's like, been there. Like you don't have to go through it. You can just. I didn't take the liberty to ask questions enough to the right people, or just. I mean, there's especially now. There's just so many people out there doing consulting for business and small business setups and things like that. That 100% would have been worth an investment for me to do, rather than the way I did it.
So I want to talk a little bit about like systems and processes while we're on this topic. I think it's easy to create the employee handbook and like you can, when you really think about like all the different parts of the different services that we offer, I mean, you can just fill pages and pages and pages up of like how to do what we do, um, what what to do the very first moment you get in the door, and what to do whenever you're not busy doing detailing or whatever. Um, and and sometimes I think like as with most things, we tend to like overcomplicate it or like put too much stuff, and then it's like, is anyone ever going to read this thing? And is this even useful, or is this just like something that it's going to sit on the shelf? And you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
how do you
absolutely.
find that balance to actually create something that is going to be used and it's applicable, it's helpful for the employees, but not overcomplicated?
Yeah. So what I've done is I have a simplified handbook. It because if everybody that we hire in now, now that we're at the point we're at, pretty much comes through our entry level spot and works their way up, at least on the detail side of things, because I want everybody to have at least a brief experience, kind of going through all of our processes. the those steps are highlighted. That's like the only thing where you open up either the software or the booklet, and you can find all those steps. The main thing that I go over now is what means the most to us inside the business, both quality control wise, and I go over more how we quality check each other and how we want to interact with each other throughout the shop. That's more important to me because then everybody's got a way to feel comfortable to ask questions, because that's the big thing we didn't have the first hiring through, is like everybody felt pressure and nobody wanted to ask questions. Didn't matter who they didn't want to ask questions to. So I hammered down more on that side of things, and I outlined it a bunch in both the hiring process and once you get hired, when we go out and we meet everybody, and then in each of the actual SOPs, there's a line that literally says, "Please ask questions." So that's kind of what I narrowed it down to, because yeah, it can get overcomplicated quick, and nobody's going to read everything.
Yeah. So you encourage everyone to ask a lot of questions, and a lot of emphasis was on the quality control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
So we run up, our systems are all. It doesn't matter if there's a one person, if it's one person to a job or two people to a job. There's a fresh set of eyes that comes and does the quality control on that job, and everybody's got to be friendly enough with each other, because that's kind of a huge part, is like if we all work well together, then there's no hard feelings when somebody does quality control and checks something off. It's like, hey buddy, we missed this, or did we need to tighten this up? Ask the question. And that was kind of a big part, is trying to be good enough with each other when that third set of eyes or second set of eyes comes in.
How do you not pull away from someone working on a job to do like a QC process?
Yeah,
I mean, obviously you have to, right? You have to pull away somebody.
yeah. Somebody's always coming over, and it's either myself now. Right now is a rare time. We're a little crazy with stuff going on, but it's myself or my shop manager. It's pretty much us two all the time that are doing it. If one of we're tied up, then everybody's friendly enough to grab somebody for a few minutes, and we try to really press our timelines in the shop to not. There shouldn't never be a time where somebody's so stressed out that they don't feel like they can hop off a job for a 5-minute walk around. If there is that, then myself or Cameron probably made a mistake on the scheduling side of things. But we really, really do our due diligence to make sure everybody's got time to go and do that.
Yeah. It's like the difference between a volume shop, like a lot of the dealerships are, versus a shop that's more focused on quality, and it's going to charge slightly higher prices.
Yep.
But we're not going to slam our schedule full to where we can't do a 5-minute quality control check.
100%. We're usually booked out enough that, like, at the end of the day, everybody's got a little checklist that they can go through and clean up a station or a section of the shop, or doing a little inventory check. All right, if everything's caught up and everything's clean, just hang out, chat a little bit, run over any ideas they might have, or just chill, hang out. And that's kind of how we try to build every day. So it's easy enough to have the rest of the things done.
Yeah. I almost think we should, and I'm not speaking for everyone, I think some people can do the volume shop thing, and like I'm sure you can create a good process for that. I think there's a place for that in the market. But for those that want to focus more on like the quality and are charging higher prices, you almost need to make sure that your shop can make enough money in the day without working from the moment you get in to the moment you leave. It's like we really need to have some time in there to do the QC, do the setup, do the inventory, just have like a team meeting in there. Like, are you profitable with that time added in, or are you only profitable when you're slammed moment that someone walks in the door to the moment they leave? Because then it creates burnout. You end up working like way late every night, then trying to get caught up with that stuff. So it's almost like you have to reorient. Like, profitability needs to be within 9 to 4 instead of 8 to 5. And then the other hours you need to kind of meet with the team, check up on them, do all the other stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And like going a big another learning curve for me is like when I hired, I don't know why I was like learned quickly you can't expect somebody to be, it's not their business, it's not their they're not 100% directly gaining everything from it, so they're not going to be as efficient as me, or they're not going to be as perfect on me on every front. Like if I can get somebody to be 70% of what I might do in that time, like that's a win. And schedule accordingly. Don't schedule like I'm doing the job, schedule like 70% of me is doing that job. And I think we run into all less headaches, and build the pricing around that same efficiency rate.
Yeah. So today, how many people do you have on your team?
Right now in total at the detail shop, there's just four, and we have a couple through a couple other sides of the businesses because we have a couple of different businesses. So, but
Okay.
the detail shop itself is just four employees.
And at the detailing shop, do you guys do all your services there?
So the undercoatings and industrial, like actual industrial coating applications, are through a different side of the business. But all of the ag equipment, heavy equipment, and detailing oriented stuff is through the detail side.
How much of your business is industrial or agricultural?
The heavy equipment side now is in actual revenue terms or like volume.
I guess, yeah, because I guess in revenue it'd probably be higher because they're higher ticket,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because
So, I mean, I
I
know
would
both.
say, yeah, I guess a revenue side, I'd have to break it down for this year, but it's probably 60%, and
Okay.
it's roughly 30% of the volume.
Okay. I see. And where did that come? Like, why did you get into that stuff?
Uh, we had clients where we were doing a few trucks for them on a regular basis, work trucks, local excavating company, and they just asked. They had some antique tractors, and I mean real old school oil puller antique tractors, stuff you don't see ever. Um, and they asked if I would be interested in coming out and taking a look at them to see if I could do stuff with that as well. Went out, took a peek at them, did the first one for them, and they were thrilled. So then from the antique tractor, we started doing a whole fleet of those. They had like 50 of them. So we did a whole fleet of those. And then after that, they asked about their excavating equipment. And we did a couple of those. And then after we put that online, it was pretty much just trickle effect. We never really even advertised it. It just started coming faster and faster because nobody did it. And there is actually a really, really good demand for it out there.
What was your profitability like in the beginning?
Uh, Early on, when I was doing their threshing ones, like the old oil puller stuff, I had no idea how to quote it. So we agreed to just, I told them what an hourly rate was going to be, and I worked on them hourly. And then I would cut breaks because I knew I wasn't very efficient at them to start. Um, so it was a little worse than the detailing side. I think if I spent a long time since I was doing the early ones, but my guess is it was maybe 25-30% profit margin, which for service space isn't bad if you got employees, but it was just me at that time when I was starting, so it wasn't great numbers. Um,
Is
but
that including
we've
paying yourself?
yeah, that's including paying myself, but I was also paying myself a very low number at the time too. So it was
Yeah.
one of those things. Like if I was paying myself a realistic number, they would have probably been close to like considered a loss leader. But I was a very low wage employee at the time.
I was reading this book that was talking about how most business owners don't pay themselves enough. And then they look at their profit and they're like, man, look, we were profitable for the year, but if you would have paid someone else to do the job that you did, you couldn't find anyone.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. And that was like I said, when I opened, I'm not bashful about it. I'll tell anybody I did not know business. I had a skill set and I had a personality, and I wasn't scared to go meet people, and I wasn't scared to take a risk, but I was very, very naive in general to the whole business and operating a business that could sustain and grow and be there for a long time when I started. So there was a lot of funny mistakes made early on, and some of them worked out for the best, and some of them, like, man, that could have been a cool way to fix that early on.
What did you start quoting the jobs after you cut? Did you move away from the hourly and more to like a flat rate?
Yeah, so after I figured out kind of what went into each of the services, because these, the old, when I'm talking antique tractors, I'm talking old, like, oil puller stuff from really, really early days, and I didn't know the paint systems that were on them. I didn't know the type of like grime and debris I'd be working around. Once I got familiar with that, same thing with their excavators. Once I got a couple down on my belt, then I could actually like, I at that point I had learned how to quote jobs the proper way. Um, so then I would go ahead and figure out my hourly, my product cost, what my margin needed to be, overhead, shop overhead, figure all that into the pricing, and I was able to quote effectively from there. Um,
It's always tough with those clients, like those first clients that you get, whether it's from detailing or ceramic coatings or like something like this, the agriculture heavy machinery, because I feel like almost always we underquote it or we quote it like a different way, and then you like realize, okay, I needed to be like higher, and so now I have to like go back to the client, and they're an awesome client, but I want to make sure I keep their business, but I can't do it for the same price. Like, did you have that issue?
so with this specific client, no, just because I was very, very upfront early on, saying like, I can't guarantee you that I'm going to be able to do these this way. I'm learning, and I'm looking at this as you're giving me an opportunity to learn. So this is your, like, more or less your discounted rate as we work together on this. And eventually we'll get something more established once I figure that out. But on the detail side of things, where I thought I knew what I was doing, we lost a lot of clients as we actually started changing to quoting things that were going to allow us to stay in business. And we quickly figured out that, like, some of these clients weren't going to be our clients long term because we weren't going to be the right fit for them. They weren't going to be the right fit for us. Um, yeah, we had a lot of those hard discussions. Some of them accept it, some of them don't. But it's all about, like, we tried our best to have good delivery in that. Try to make them understand why we had to do the pricing changes, not just this is going to be the new price. You're with us or you're not.
Yeah. I think that's so wise to do what you did with the agricultural machinery. And it's a bit of like you have to humble yourself to tell someone that, hey, I'm learning. Because I think a lot of the times when it'd be like, oh yeah, yeah, we can do that. Yeah, I did one of these yesterday. It's like, no, you
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah, yeah. And I'll say this much too: like, we've gotten into I mean, especially with, I think now in the next couple of years too, there's a lot of shifts in technology just over the last couple of years. I think we'll see a few more coming up that are going to be pretty big. And if you're, I don't care how long you've been doing it, if you're going to continue to, like, keep up and not be, the 40-year-old shop that's still hand applying wax, and nothing else, like, if you're going to keep trying to learn, like, having that humbled nature for yourself, for your techs, whatever it may be, is going to be really, really important, because it allows us to, like, comfortably try to learn a product, and learn a service and create what we need to for our business and for our customer. Yeah, that part's going to be huge. Is I I know a couple of guys that I've worked with around here that have that issue, um, and have run into issues with that because they didn't want to say that it was their first customer experience, or they wanted to be the instant professional right away. And I mean, do you guys do film at all at your shop? Or
We do. Yeah, we do window
okay,
tint and PPF now.
okay. So the you can practice and practice and practice and go through all your waste on all your film and spend all your money. And the first time you do that customer job, still can throw you through a loop from the first time. And I'm sure you saw that, especially if you're doing, I mean, either both tint and PPF, they're the same way. You run into something you didn't expect before. And if you didn't have that little bit of an expectation or a talk, with your client, can humble yourself pretty quickly that way.
Yeah, we had a Porsche Macan in the shop this last week, which is one of the hardest hoods to do. And even if you get it, it's like probably not going to be perfect. And what does that mean? And so we had a very long conversation with the client, and it originally started out by the client being like, well, I don't want my car to look like crap. And I'm like, I know, but that's where we're at, it's like,
yeah.
there's going to be some things. And, another thing too, is it's nice having someone in your corner, someone that does have experience in the industry that is willing to tell you, like, almost no one can make that hood look good, like perfect. They can make it look good. I shouldn't say good. They can't make it perfect. And so being able to confidently now tell people, because there's this illusion that when you get started with anything, whether it's detailing or film, that like, oh, the pros know how to do it perfect. And no, they don't. They just know their limits, and they know they've done enough of these cars to like know that that's normal. Like even with window tint, for the longest time, I thought these professional window tint jobs were leaving the shop without a single speck of anything anywhere. And it's like, we look at every job that comes in now from all the top shops, and every one of them has specs, not just like one, but they have a few specs. And so being able to just like confidently tell the client, like, listen, this is going to happen. There are some clients that have insane expectations, but after talking to the owner of the Porsche and showing her like some of the things that I think could be an issue, just talking to her about it, she like totally trusted us. And I'm like, listen, if we can't get it, we'll take it to another shop. And she's like, no, I want you to do it. And if you can't wrap it, then just ceramic coat it. I'm like, are you
sure? Isn't it crazy? Like it's funny because at least myself, when I was getting into something, like the first time I was doing it and a client asked like how it was going to turn out, I would just almost so confidently have to amp myself about how flawless it was going to be. And they weren't going to have to worry. And do you think you get this scratch out? No problem. I'm going to get it. Like almost went from overselling to the better I got. I'm like so much better at underselling the method and be like, no, this is what it is. And I feel confident going, this is what it's going to turn out. It's going to turn out this way because of this. And no matter who you talk to is going to tell you the same thing. Like that switch from the newer you are, the higher expectation you set for yourself to like the better you get, the lower expectation, just because you learn that much quicker. That's what you got to do.
Yeah. And like the relief that you feel when you're working on a client's car and that you've had that hard conversation with them, they know the realistic expectation. And then most of the time, you're going to like beat it now. You're going to exceed it.
Yeah. And they trust
so you feel so good. Yeah.
Yep. And they trust what you're going to deliver. You've already had the talk. They trust you. You've gone through the reliability and the trust building process, and now it's just you getting to deliver the work. So,
well, I know that you started offering the Avant Guard 1051 coating. I've been seeing it on your social media.
Yep.
I'd like to know, because this is obviously just like film or with any new service that you start, there's a learning curve to it.
Yep.
And learning to set expectations. And so how did that go, introducing that coating?
Yeah. So we got back and I looked at it just like we were going to be installing tint or PPF for the first time, and had a bunch of test vehicles lined up. At this point, we've kind of got the idea down, like we're going to because when you go through their training, they send you back. You basically pay for 5 kits, and then you get the training included, or however you want to look at it. It's either way, you got 5 kits to mess with, which is enough to do 5 full cars. I lined up basically 20 individual test panels, burnt through a bunch of it with myself in my right hand, and then went to 2 full demo cars that I knew had no expectation of something being perfect. Uh, Went through those 2 cars, and once those felt good, I'm like, and the install was good, I was happy to now move on to a customer vehicle. And then I still set the expectation of you're going to be. I'm black and white with all of our clients. The first one that reached out um, from our original testing advertisement, I was like, you will be our first client. You'll be our first client install. Here's what the coating is. Here's how it operates, because it is a unique beast when it comes to coatings. I outlined everything that should happen, and then I outlined a couple of things that I thought maybe could happen from what I saw from our other installs. And we did the install. It actually turned out better than I had told them that I expected it to. We had a couple small imperfections, and we had already addressed it in the original time that if there's an imperfection, if there's for some reason a panel I couldn't get just right, we might put this off for another couple months while we practice and train until I could get it right. But what we had just came back in for its maintenance wash, and we fixed it, and it was no issue. So, but that was kind of the early on first couple of cars. We went through that same regimen with all of the clients very early, telling them that these are early installs. We're still setting the shop up for it. We're still doing these things, but nothing that shouldn't be remedied if there was a small imperfection.
So those first clients that you had, were they interested in like a ceramic coating or film originally, and then you talked them into the Avant Guard?
Yeah, so they were both actually old ceramic coating clients from us that had both bought brand new vehicles and they were never film clients. Uh, they just wanted the next thing. They wanted whatever this next coating was if I thought it was a fit. And both of them were great fits. Neither of them are like heavy use gravel road vehicles or like anything that would really need film. It was kind of that perfect fit for them, to be honest, because they also are both tunnel wash clients, and we would never put them in like super long-term ceramic coatings, long-term ceramic coatings. So it actually fit both of them very well. And they had asked us about it. I told them both that I thought that was the fit for them. It was either that or we keep doing, a yearly, coating and keeping it up to date that way. So it just fit the needs.
Yeah, man, it's so refreshing just to hear guys like yourself that are like honest and accurate with the tunnel wash clients, and ceramic coatings, because I see it again and again. These clients will come in and they'll be interested in a ceramic coating, and how do you wash it? And it's like, well, I go through the tunnel like every other day, and it's like, man, I'm gonna be honest, like these just aren't gonna hold up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a big thing too, is like most of those clients that are going to be visiting the tunnel washes, if they're still like they're asking for coatings for a reason. So they're potentially it's still a solution for them. It's just, you know, you're not going to take them and put your best service. You're not going to do a full paint correction, multiple steps, perfect the paint, put the best coating on it, because you're doing them a disservice, and you're probably doing yourself a disservice when they still don't understand what happened later on if they're not getting it. So you're still fixing the problem by doing an entry level coating. You're doing what you want, minor correction, prepping the paint, getting a coating on. They're happy, you're happy, and the car's still going to go see that tunnel wash. So,
But you think that now that you have the Avant Guard 1051 coating for tunnel clients, like this probably makes the most sense.
yeah. So if it's somebody that like flat out says I want to quote unquote protect my car, um, but I'm still going to use a tunnel wash. Like, and I just ask them what the realistic chances that they're going to hand wash their car or they're going to bring it to us to continue to maintain their vehicle. And I want to get the real answers because I'm trying to provide a real solution, most of the people are pretty upfront right away and say, yeah, no, I'm still going to go there once a week. I'm not going to wash it, and I just don't have the time to bring it to you. Um, that's where this is a really good fit. Just because, man, this stuff is, when it comes to actual like abrasion, love marks, if you will, swirls, things like that, it is a much, much, much better solution um, than anything else we have right now. Does an excellent job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, your first install, you said there was a few like things. What were
Yep.
those issues?
Yep. Biggest issue on the first install. So I'm really heavy handed because of the industrial stuff. We've done a lot of hand applied industrial coatings. So myself and the guy, my right hand Cameron, he caught on to it really fast. We both did faster than I would say the normal curve is. But I am very heavy, which means I have a lot of product on our applicator really fast. And I actually ran the coating. Um, in a couple of spots that I didn't catch initially. So you have some playroom to actually remove the coating off the panel and just redo it. It broke loose after I was farther around the car. I got all the way back around. It's kind of at that point, it's just too late to straight up remove it at the time. So something I had to come back and actually like sand and polish off. And the other one, I put a shirt mark. I actually leaned over the car and put a shirt mark in the coating while it was still wet and didn't catch that night either. So both of those were things that I ended up remedying later. We had the shop set up with clean rooms already from our film stuff, so that wasn't an issue. But I'd say that's like an early on thing that if guys are going to have issues, it's because something wasn't clean enough early.
Does it get like lint or dust trapped in it?
Not necessarily from like the the environment. Mostly, if you're going to see like that to the point that it's causing an issue where you need to like strip it and redo the panel, it's because there was lint or dust trapped around the backside of a body line, the backside of a panel where you pulled it into the coating as you were applying. You gotta kind of look at it as like being like extremely clean for a PPF install. Same idea. Just now, instead of it being dirt underneath your film, you're dragging a little piece through your coating, and you get a little line somewhere. The stuff from the environment, as long as like you don't want a dirty environment, you still need to have it clean. PPF shop clean. You know, the cleaner the better. But the stuff flashes off so quick that if there's a little bit of dust or lint that lands in it after 20, 30 minutes, that stuff kind of pushes itself to the top as it cures. It wipes off in the morning when you wipe it down.
So when you're doing these Avant Guard 1051 coatings, like, are you? Because I know you're doing pretty, not maybe heavy correction, but you're using a rotary
Yep.
to get like the valleys or whatever so you can lay the coating in there. Are you doing like a wash after all that just to remove all like the compound?
Yeah. So as far as like just what we're using the rotary, so you don't have to use a rotary. You can use a DA. The rotary is just so much more efficient. And I mean, realistically, it's if you're trying to put because you want a marring of some type. If you're using a DA, you want marring. We want to because the coating bonds chemically and mechanically. So if we can get a little mechanical bite in there, that's what we're looking for. We don't want a perfectly finished down panel. The more the finish, the lower the surface energy, and it'll actually not lay out as nice either. So kind of the same thing like clear coat if you were painting. But yeah, after we do that, then we go through another wash process just to flush out all our jams and make sure all our edges are clean and we're not going to miss something because that extra 30-minute wash is going to save us a ton of headaches later.
Okay. Could I just like clay bar and mar it that way?
I mean, no, you want to make sure like if there's any sign of any old wax sealant, coating, even half the drying aids at the washes now have some sort of of drying aid or hydrophobic agent in it, and you're not going to remove that through that process. Just it's kind of one of those things where I think some guys look at these coatings as like a way to like skip steps or cut time, and that is not what this is for. Like if that's how you're looking at it, it's not going to be a great fit for you. This is you're going to be real elaborate on your prep, but you're going to be able to offer something really unique to your client at a really, really good price point for your shop. I mean, the hourly, the money you can make off of these coatings are very good. Just do them right. Is kind of how
Okay.
I tell my guys. So
Cool. Yeah. What are you charging for something like this?
yep. So we do. I have a couple different like packages, if you will. I got like a base level package. Our base level package on a sedan, say something like Model 3 size, we're at like $2,400. And then that includes one layer all the way around the vehicle, no debadging, no major disassembly. If you want things like that done, we'll just adjust the price from there. And then that's one layer all the way around all the exterior painted surfaces. Our top level service would include removing door handles if they need to be removed. We debadge everything and reinstall the badges, etc. And that package on a Model 3 size sedan starts at $3,500 and then goes up from there depending on complexity, etc. And that's going to be one layer around everything with two layers on the front end. And we also allow for people to add more layers places. We coat the insteps of door jambs all the time because that's a really cool place to have it. That we've actually pretty much stopped laying film there altogether, and we'll just do a couple layers of this, and it's a way better fit. So we have a bunch of little options like that.
Interesting. What about if it's like how much more of a premium are you charging for like a Escalade?
Honestly, so our Escalade. We just did a Yukon Denali XL, which basically the same thing. So that one came up to about $4,600 by the time we were all said and done. And he did two layers. That was a single layer all the way around the vehicle, two layers on the front, and he also did door jambs on that one.
Okay. And you debadged everything too?
Yep. Yeah.
So sometimes that takes a long time.
The debadging isn't bad. We always try to, like, he had the option. He went and bought just brand new badges and had us just reinstall, nice. Which is really nice. We always try to like encourage our clients to do that. Or, if this is the time that you want something not going back on the vehicle, this is a great time for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of one of those things where like I said, this is one of those where it's no different than film. Every install is going to vary on what you have to work around, the badges, disassembly, etc.
Yeah. Interesting. Do you know like roughly how many like man hours you had on a job like that?
Yeah. So that one had, I don't know if you guys, I don't know what you use for software, but we use Able, and everybody clocks in and out during full service. So it's actually really nice to be able to fully track.
Yeah, we don't use Able, but I've heard such good things about it, and that's one of the reasons.
So that was just shy of 18 man hours.
Okay. That's great.
So, and
yeah,
product cost is very reasonable. So, and that was your typical GM black as well. So,
oh man.
Yeah.
Are you fighting with the same things on like a GM black job when you're doing this 1051 coating as you are like on any other ceramic coating?
A whole different side of things. You're not fighting with like the finish down or the cutout. I mean, the thickness of this coating is pretty crazy. Just on our like isolated test panels when we take measurements, myself, I'm somewhere I average between like 12 and 14 microns per single layer application. Cameron's right around 10 to 12 microns on average. So uh, you're not really fighting the finish down or the correction side when you're dealing with it. It's just black, flat black in general. It's going to show any of your application errors if you get a little something in there, or you have a work line, which would be like basically texture from hand painting is kind of what you're doing more or less. It's going to highlight all of that. So it's just more technical on that side of things. But this is very much one of those coatings. Oh, go ahead, buddy.
No, I was just curious if you feel like the customers notice stuff like that.
No, I mean, not the average client. And it's another one of those things too, where we do things a little different, especially with AG. We have a bunch of little demo and test panels set up. And I have some that are like, actually, we've purposely put a little more texture or work line into it just to see if it draws an eye when we go across and we're talking. When we have a client that says, I have a high eye for detail, I want this to be perfect, I show them these and I kind of gauge what their real eye for perfection is. We do the same thing with paint corrections.
I did the same thing with window tint.
Yep.
I don't even show them it unless they like, I get that sense, they're sitting there talking to you forever, and, we had it in the past and they just didn't do a good job. Well, what do you mean they didn't do a good job? Well, that there was just some spots in the film. Okay. Like this, like, let me show you something. Oh, no, that's fine. Like, that's all totally reasonable. And okay.
Yep.
And it's purposely a bad job. Like, I made sure to not do it our best. So that we're going to beat the expectation.
Yep, 100%. That's the easiest way to go across, because you have that. I mean, I've come to find out that for myself or whoever's talking to the client, if we have things to show them and actually truly gauge their eye and find out what they're looking for, it makes our life very easy. And when it comes to the correction side of things, it also just like will self upsell itself or make your job that much easier.
Yeah. Do you think that this 1051 coating, like, is this going to totally replace your ceramic coatings, or is it just an alternative?
It'll be an alternative. I think ceramic coatings, I think it's a hard fought time to like really have a true place for wax these days. Although there's their niche places for it. It'll be like that eventually, I would assume. But there's still, because at least how it operates right now, I mean, you still have to have a controlled environment. It's still a much higher, what's the word I'm looking for? A much higher like install skill set. It's not, they're not as dummy. I mean, so many coatings have gotten so dummy proof, for lack of a better term, to install, that you can do them so quick and pack them onto just any service that they'll be around. And they still accomplish what your customer's looking for. We're like, not every customer needs this or needs that price point of things. So I don't think it'll replace them by any means.
Mm-hmm. One thing I also noticed is the 1051 coating isn't hydrophobic, which a lot of people love, right?
Yeah, 100%. So it's like, I try. Everybody has those clients where they wash themselves and they fight water spots all the time, and sometimes coatings will make that worse.
Sure.
So I try to, like, if I have those clients, I'm going to really, really push them to not have me coat this after. But some of my clients, they're really fighting that. Like, they want that beading effect, and I'm very upfront with them. I'm like, I have demo videos. I have a demo car out there. I show them what the water is going to do. If they don't like that, then we just put a ceramic coating, an entry-level coating on it the next day and send them home with all the aspects that they're looking for.
Because you can ceramic coat on top of the 1051.
Yeah. 24 hours later, you can throw coating down on it.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And you can actually put film over it too.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, we've had a couple clients actually request to have the full vehicle done and then put film over the front end still.
Are you doing any paint protection film?
Yeah, so we do both standard film, and then we're also currently moving into the spray applications as well.
Is that you that does the installs, or one of your guys?
I do the spray installs. I do not do the general film install.
Okay. Interesting. How's that been, the spray?
That fits my wheelhouse really good. Auto body background,
Uh-huh.
painting background. I love. As soon as I saw that, I've been playing with some of this stuff. I've gotten real early access for a couple years now, so um, I couldn't wait to be able to actually take that live, and I love it. I think we'll be doing very, very little normal film coming up.
Do you feel like is it similar to the 1051 where if people are like looking for a shortcut, they're not going to find it with spray PPF, but
Yeah.
it's just different?
Yes. Yeah. I kind of the same thing, and it's just like the 1051. There's certain things that you have to do for it. We happen to already have a paint booth, so it fit right into the wheelhouse. We didn't have to like upfit a shop, and there are temp booths and inflatable booths, and you could just build a spray room as well without having to do a full on booth. Um, but again, it's going to have certain parameters. There's going to be people that are looking for shortcuts to do things a faster or quicker way or cheaper way. And it's going to, those people are going to have a very bad experience. And I think that's the same way with 1051. Those people that are looking to shortcut something are going to have a bad experience. Both those products are very similar in that regard.
That being said, do you think you can do from start to finish? Do you think you can do a spray on PPF job faster than someone that has like good experience with doing PPF?
Depending on what's on. If we're doing, if as long as it's anything full front or more, yeah. But if it's like individual, like some of the individual pieces, or if somebody's just getting like pillars or something of that nature, then no.
Okay. So there's a place for PPF with some of like the miscellaneous like little things.
Yep, yep, just makes more sense.
Yeah. But otherwise, full front or more, like for sure.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
Okay. Um, I want to talk just lastly about this agricultural like coatings and stuff like that. Like I see you guys have done some of these agricultural coatings.
Yep.
Is that like a large percentage? I mean, I know you said that 60% of your revenue now is from the heavy machinery or agricultural. How much
Yep.
of that 60% then is like just coatings?
Yeah, all of it. I mean, we don't really just detail any heavy equipment. If we're doing something on heavy equipment, it is coated, whether that's end loaders and excavators or skid loaders to sprayers, combines, tractors. If we're doing anything on it now, it's all coating related. We pretty much don't just detail them.
Okay. And we talked a little bit about like different kinds of coatings that you have for these, and there's like a lot of different brands that offer
Yep.
these industrial coatings. Um,
Yep.
is it similar to 1051 where like are you not wiping off all the excess, or is it more like a coating where you are?
Yeah. No, you're the tractor. So some of the ag stuff is has its nuances where like you'll still, if you have a client that's really particular about wanting like, I mean, some of these farmers want like they want their work tractors to look like show tractors. And when that's the case, then generally we'll use um, a regular ceramic coating on like the hoods, or we'll call them like the pretty panels, if you will, the big flat, high gloss painted panels, where then the wheels, the chassis, the PTO, all of that stuff will then be sprayed with something like the IGL Aegis or Fine Lab Industrial or something along those lines. We'll use that on all those portions. Any of the clients that aren't concerned with that, they just want absolute longevity. They want the tractor or the piece of equipment to look good, perform well, and be maintained. We prefer to spray them all because that is absolutely the best longevity for the client. Um,
Okay. Yeah. How long are those coatings lasting?
so I mean, on paper they all give you numbers. Our actual oldest application is just over, let's see, it's 26, so about 8 years old now. That's worked in the field every year, and we get to see it every year. So that's our oldest one. It's on a John Deere combine. I guess 730 or so. I don't have the numbers memorized anymore, but that one has been in the field working for nearly 8 years now, and no delamination, performing well, um, doing what the customer wants it to do. We actually just got a video of it texted to us here a couple weeks ago as they were washing it, going, "Yep, still awesome." So, but yeah, everything's going to be a little different. We have some skid loaders that will, if they have a long service life on them, we might go in and do some touch up on areas after a couple of years if they get like some high impact stuff or something like that. But yeah, otherwise, really good longevity.
Okay. How hard is that to like learn how to do the industrial coatings versus just traditional car ceramic coatings?
Um, it there's definitely like actually just doing them out of the box and making most of the clients happy, not terrible. Especially if anybody has like any type of spray experience in general. Um, Now, if you're working with like some really, really finicky, more so on the ag side, farmers that really want their stuff to be like show quality, there's a little bit of steeper learning curve. But realistically, most of these coatings it's all prep related. The spraying part you'll get as you go, but it's not like you're, laying down a high end paint job. You're just trying to get product onto a surface. It's all prep related.
Okay. And you're doing these mobily.
Yep. Yep. So we have a trailer set up to be able to go out, and most of the places all have shops that will work in, but some of them, we've done a couple of the excavators right out in the middle of a field because it just happened to be down at that place at that time, and we had access to it, and they wanted to get it done. So we'll just have the trailer set up and have the big heated pressure washer unit and all the chemicals and everything ready to go out and do it, and then we'll use airless, like a turbine style sprayer to spray them.
Mm, interesting. What's growth look like from here? Like, are you trying to grow more into the agricultural industrial coating side of things, or?
Yeah, so big plans this year as far as which direction we're going is we've been really honing in on continuing to try to go that route for the last couple of years. There's just so much need for it and so little service out there for it. So that's a big area still. And then this year's more so, we've remodeled the company a little bit this year, and we've downsized a little bit this year, employee wise, because we kind of felt like we were moving some of the aspects towards production, and I didn't want to do that. So we're more so like everybody. We're trying to suit our coding and correction clients a lot more, and if we're doing maintenance level services, they're all because they're precursor. They've had some full service with us in an aspect of a correction or coding, etc. So yeah, we're just really pushing towards the longer performance coatings, but big into the ag and heavy equipment. Still again this year, that's going to be the big push.
For anyone out there that wants to get into more of these like industrial coatings, I know you do undercoatings too.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing the spray on PPF. Like, whether it's for yourself looking back or for someone else that's wanting to get into this, like, what advice do you have for someone like that?
Now there are so many trainings out there. When we first started doing the heavy equipment, ag stuff, there wasn't any. There was kind of just a product and then learn as you go. Now you can cut a huge amount of the learning curve out by spending the money and going to a training. It's not going to give you everything. Don't think that at all. Just go to a training, learn the product, understand the product, and then shift your mindset from your regular walking through the door consumer and find your excavating companies, find your large co-op farms, find your big construction companies that have a lot of work boxes, and go talk to those maintenance lead individuals. That's where you'll start to find the growth in that sector.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Do you have any training classes or installers that you recommend for training like that?
As far as like the industrial, like the heavy equipment stuff goes, both IGL and FineLab put on really good classes, and they're both going to be the two products I would recommend in that sector as of right now. Um, as far as the spray paint protection film goes, there's not much out there for trainings at the time. The one training I went to was pretty poor. If it wasn't for me having an auto body background, the learning curve would be really, really tough. I come from a painting background, so that's a sector that has a lot to be desired yet. But the heavy equipment stuff, yeah, the both FineLab and IGL's trainings are excellent, and they'll get you really good off to the right on the right foot for getting started with those.
Okay. Cool. Well, Kyle, man, this has been good, and I appreciate you coming on and being so candid and transparent. So I'd love to have you back on again at some point.
No, absolutely. I appreciate you having me on, and yeah, anytime, just get a hold of me. If I'm not gone or running a training somewhere, I'm happy to hop on.
Cool. Sweet, dude. Well, I appreciate it again, and I appreciate everyone for listening. Hope this has been helpful and interesting. Kyle, we'll look forward to doing it again here with you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, buddy.